In the infinite darkness between stars, something extraordinary is stirring, patterns so vast and intricate that only now, through the lens of quantum intelligence, are we beginning to glimpse the universe's hidden architecture. Welcome, traveler of the sleepless hours. Welcome to the Sleepless How, a place where the restless mind can find both wonder and mystery. Tonight, we drift together into the quiet expanse where science whispers secrets to those willing to listen. If this journey resonates with you, if you find comfort in these nocturnal voyages into the unknown, I invite you gently to press the like button, to subscribe, to become part of this community of curious souls. Every gesture of support is felt deeply, and I am sincerely grateful that you choose to wander here with me. The universe does not reveal its treasures easily. For centuries, humanity has raised its gaze upward, mapping constellations, tracking comets, building instruments to extend our vision further and further into the abyss. Yet even with our most powerful telescopes, we have long been limited to surface impressions. We've seen the bright dust of galaxies, the faint glow of distant suns, the faint fog of nebulae, but what lies beneath those glittering fragments? What architecture, if any, shapes the space between? NASA has begun to answer that question with a project of remarkable ambition, the 3-Eye Atlas. Imagine an instrument that can peel back layers of darkness like tissue paper, exposing not just stars, but the delicate scaffolding of interstellar medium itself. The Atlas does not simply show us pictures. It compiles decades of multi-spectrum observations across 3 distinct lenses: infrared, ionization, and interstellar scattering, creating the most complete portrait of the cosmic void humanity has ever assembled. At first glance, it might seem like just another leap in data collection, another entry in the long history of astronomical surveys. Yet what the 3-Eye Atlas reveals is not merely more detail. It uncovers patterns, unprecedented, startling patterns that suggest the universe may not be the chaotic wilderness we once assumed. Instead, hidden beneath the haze of randomness, there appears to be order, patterns too vast, too precise to dismiss. This is not only about discovery, there is also an unease, a whisper carried on these new cosmic images. The Atlas, when paired with the extraordinary reach of quantum AI, does not simply show us what is out there, it hints at something approaching us. A visitor, silent but swift, streaking toward our planetary neighborhood at 137,000 miles per hour. The number is real, verifiable, and it adds a pulse of urgency to what might otherwise feel like an abstract contemplation of starlight. Something is moving in our direction, and as we peer through this new window into the universe's hidden geometry, we cannot help but feel that these two revelations, the hidden structures and the approaching traveler, are entwined. For now, let us not leap to conclusions. This is not the place for alarm or fear. Tonight is not about headlines of danger, but about whispers in the dark, about the subtle unveiling of truths that could transform our place in the cosmos. We are not racing forward blindly. Instead, we are seated together as if at the edge of a great cosmic library. Imagine shelves stretching into infinity, each volume containing the story of a star, a nebula, a galaxy. For eons, we have only been able to read the covers of those books. We admired their bindings, their faded lettering, but the pages remained sealed. With the 3-Eye Atlas, and with the lens of quantum intelligence turned upon it, we are at last prying open the first fragile volumes. The metaphor is not exaggeration. To look upon the Atlas's combined data is to see threads in the void that resemble inked words on a page, lines and geometries written across the fabric of nothingness. Not scribbles, but deliberate strokes, as though some author greater than comprehension has left a message for the attentive. Picture yourself lying awake, eyes half closed, the soft hum of night around you. This is how the universe feels through this lens, drowsy, immense, yet whispering. The story is not shouted, it is murmured, waiting for us to lean in and listen. That is why we must proceed gently, letting wonder outpace dread. NASA's scientists, ever cautious, describe the atlas as a revolutionary cartography of interstellar space. Yet what lies between those careful words is more provocative. Structures, shapes, alignments, things that challenge our sense of the cosmos as a place ruled solely by chance and entropy. It is almost as if we have been children playing among the shelves of that infinite library, tracing dust with our fingers, when suddenly one of the books falls open and we glimpse paragraphs written in an alien script. The mystery deepens when quantum intelligence enters the stage. Traditional computers, even the fastest supercomputers, can only scratch the surface of data this complex. Quantum systems, however, weave through probabilities and correlations simultaneously, noticing connections across billions of data points that would remain invisible to our slower, linear minds. When the AI peers into the atlas, it does not simply catalogue, it begins to notice rhythms, harmonies, geometric consistencies. Its observations hint that the universe may not merely expand like a balloon inflating, but may in fact resonate like a grand instrument tuned to a hidden score. Before we let ourselves wander too far into philosophy, let us anchor back in the imagery that brings us here. Picture that visitor, the object gliding through space, faster than any known human craft, faster than any ordinary comet, more silent than any asteroid tracked before. Its trajectory began beyond Neptune's orbit, but now it is on a course that brushes near us, perhaps a messenger from deep interstellar realms. We have encountered such interlopers before. The elongated mystery of Oumuamua reminded us that the solar system is not sealed off from the wider ocean of space. Yet this new object, observed in the light of the atlas, takes on new context. It is not merely a rock adrift. It arrives at a time when the very structure of the cosmos is being rewritten before our eyes. There is something uncanny about the timing. We peer into the library at last, and just as the pages begin to reveal their script, a visitor approaches, almost as if answering our gaze. Is it coincidence? Probability suggests yes, but intuition lingers, whispering otherwise. This is the heart of our journey tonight. We are not here to proclaim answers, but to savor questions. What is hidden in the scaffolding of the universe? What stories lie written in the interstellar void? And what role does this approaching traveller play in the grand composition? Settle into the rhythm of this narrative. Allow the weight of ordinary concerns to lift, replaced by the gravity of cosmic mystery. We will not rush. We will walk softly among the shelves of that infinite library, guided by both science and imagination, cautious not to tear the fragile pages as we turn them. As the atlas illuminates unseen structures, as quantum intelligence whispers interpretations, as the silent traveller drifts nearer, we find ourselves at the threshold of something immense. A veil has been lifted just slightly, enough to suggest there is far more concealed than revealed. The darkness between stars has never been empty, it has only been unread. Now, with the first words revealed, we step forward into the silence of the approaching unknown. The darkness between stars has never been empty, it has only been unread. From within that vast library, a single page drifts loose, fluttering in our direction. It is the object we now track, a traveller whose arrival is neither invited nor fully understood, yet whose presence cannot be ignored. Measured carefully, its speed is staggering, 137,000 miles per hour, a velocity far beyond anything our species has ever launched or controlled. At such speed, a drive from Earth to the Moon would take a mere 2 hours. This is no errant stone creeping across space. This is motion with momentum older than our civilization, older than our earthly sense of history. Tracing its path backward, astronomers discovered no origin among the familiar orbits of comets and asteroids. It did not slingshot from Jupiter's gravity, nor does it belong to the quiet Kuiper belt drifting beyond Neptune. Instead, its vector points outward, a trajectory unspooling from the wilderness of interstellar space. For perhaps millions of years it has wandered through the void, untouched by solar winds or planetary tugs, until now, when its line of travel intersects our small planetary neighborhood. Its size remains uncertain, frustratingly so. Radar echoes suggest an object larger than a city block, yet smaller than a mountain. Some estimates lean toward a shape no more than half a kilometer across. Others whisper of something much larger, cloaked in reflective irregularities. Its composition, too, is a mystery. A stony body perhaps riddled with iron, or a darker, icier traveller, sheathed in frozen gases that long ago ceased to sublimate. Unlike asteroids within our solar system, whose compositions we can sometimes pin down by spectral fingerprints, this object offers no easy answers. Its surface absorbs and reflects light in ways that resist tidy classification. The comparison arises naturally. Oumuamua, that enigmatic visitor discovered in 2017, the first confirmed interstellar object to sweep through our solar system. Like our present traveller, it arrived unannounced, racing along a path that declared its origins beyond the familiar planetary dance. Oumuamua's elongated shape and sudden unexplained acceleration ignited debates that still simmer today. Was it a natural shard, a fragment of some distant world, or something stranger, perhaps a relic of intentional design? Our new visitor carries echoes of that mystery, yet differs in critical ways. Its speed is greater, its path less ambiguous, its timing entwined with the revelations of the three-eye atlas. Where Oumuamua raised eyebrows, this object seems to raise curtains. We can think of it as a messenger, a courier not of words, but of presence. Its silence speaks volumes. It carries no signal, no glow of propulsion, yet its very arrival is a message that the universe is not static, that the gulf between stars is not empty, that objects from far beyond our sightlines can and do cross into our world. Our tools for observing such a messenger are imperfect, almost laughably so, when measured against the vastness. Telescopes strain to gather its faint reflections. Radar sweeps barely graze its outline. Spacecraft, bound by the limits of propulsion and funding, cannot hope to intercept at such speed. We are like children trying to measure a storm with a thimble, standing in awe as it passes overhead. Yet this is what humanity has always done. From the earliest nights, when ancestors looked skyward and tracked the wandering of planets with the naked eye, to the great observatories perched on mountaintops, to arrays of radio dishes listening for whispers in static, we have forever strained to know what approaches from the dark. Each tool we build is a torch against the blackness, and though the darkness always stretches further, our torches burn brighter with each generation. Still, the object reminds us of our limitations. Traditional methods, those reliant on visible light or narrowband radio reflection, cannot fully map an interstellar visitor racing so quickly and revealing so little. Even our best telescopes capture snapshots rather than portraits. It is as though we are peering through the keyhole of that cosmic library, glimpsing the corner of a page but not the words written across it. This inadequacy presses us towards something new. To truly perceive, we require instruments capable of weaving together multiple dimensions of data, not just the reflection of light, but the bending of radiation, the scattering of particles, the trails left in fields invisible to human eyes. That is why the three-eye atlas matters, not as a curiosity, but as a necessity. Without such a system, the messenger would remain an enigma moving silently past, a line on a star map and little more. With the atlas, and with the assistance of quantum intelligence, the visitor becomes a keyhole through which a larger architecture begins to emerge. The contrast is stark. Imagine a tribe on a shoreline, watching a piece of driftwood wash in with the tide. Without broader context, it is only a log. but with awareness of oceans and distant continents, the log becomes a message from elsewhere, proof of unseen worlds. Our visitor is such driftwood, and the three-eye atlas is the map of oceans upon which it travelled. As it approaches, scientists strain to draw every scrap of information. Its precise velocity, 137,000 miles per hour, is calculated not by a single instrument, but by careful triangulation across observatories. Its trajectory is plotted backward, past Neptune, past the faint gravitational reach of our Sun, into the dark where known planetary influences cannot explain its course. Each calculation reinforces the same conclusion. This object is not ours. It comes from away, from the gulf of interstellar space that has always been more mystery than map. Yet speed and trajectory alone do not tell the whole story. The human heart demands meaning. To many, this object is a reminder of our fragility, that Earth is not an island sealed against the currents of space, but a shore exposed to them. To others, it is an invitation, an emblem of connection, that we are not isolated, but part of a web in which stones, ice, and perhaps even more enigmatic things can travel from star to star. Such reflections are not idle. Our species has always projected meaning onto what approaches from the dark. Ancient comets were omens, stars shifting in the sky foretold victories or calamities. In modern times, we assign not prophecy but scientific rigor, yet the impulse remains. We look at the messenger and we ask, what does this mean for us? The answer, at least for now, is that it reminds us of scale. The object's speed dwarfs our technologies. Its path reaches back beyond our records. Its nature eludes classification by our most refined methods. In every respect, it humbles us, even as it compels us forward. Because of this, the story of the messenger is not only about what it is, but about what it reveals of us. Our instruments falter, our methods strain, yet our determination deepens. The arrival of such an object forces us to stretch, to imagine new ways of perceiving. It drives us towards systems like the three-eye atlas, which gather not just photons, but the unseen signatures of the interstellar medium. The messenger carries secrets, but perhaps the greater secret is how little we have understood until now. If the universe is indeed a vast library, then the object is a bookmark dropped at our feet, reminding us that there are volumes waiting to be opened. With each passing day, it draws nearer. Our tools continue their watch, collecting faint data points like crumbs along a path. We know enough to chart its course, but not enough to understand its essence. That gap, the gulf between what we observe and what we comprehend, is where anticipation grows. It is here that the atlas steps forward, not as a mere improvement, but as a revolution. While our primitive tools strain to sketch outlines, the atlas reveals textures. While telescopes gather isolated notes, the atlas composes symphonies of data. It does not only observe the messenger, but situates it within a broader fabric, a context that begins to hint at a universe far stranger and more deliberate than chance alone might suggest. The silent approach continues. We wait, instruments poised, eyes turned skyward, hearts caught between wonder and unease. The messenger moves, constant, unerring, carrying its mysteries with it. We prepare to receive them, even as we ready ourselves for what the atlas will unveil. The silent approach of the messenger would remain a riddle without context, a solitary fragment adrift, if not for the lens we have only now begun to polish. That lens is the three-eye atlas, NASA's most ambitious attempt to map the invisible. It does not look with one eye, nor even with two, but with three: infrared, ionization, and interstellar scattering. Together, these perspectives merge into a vision unlike anything humanity has possessed before. To call it a telescope would be misleading. The three-eye atlas is not a single instrument perched on some mountaintop or orbiting quietly above Earth. It is a network, a synthesis, a weaving together of data gathered across decades from multiple observatories, space-based satellites, deep space probes, ground arrays scattered across deserts and mountainsides. Where ordinary telescopes capture moments, the atlas compiles lifetimes. Its archive stretches backward through time, drawing on light collected long before this present traveler was noticed, creating not just snapshots, but an evolving panorama. Infrared is its first eye. Unlike visible light, which dazzles us with the surfaces of stars, infrared penetrates the shrouds of dust and gas that conceal much of the galaxy's structure. Through infrared, newborn stars emerge from cocoons, hidden nurseries glow softly, and the scaffolding of galactic arms becomes visible. What once appeared as void reveals itself as textured, full of filaments and veils. Its second eye is ionization. Charged particles, streaming from stars or colliding within nebulae, trace currents through the cosmic medium. By capturing the signatures of ionization, the atlas maps not just where matter lies, but how it flows, where it collides, and how energy moves invisibly across distances measured in light years. This eye reveals the currents of the interstellar sea, the tides that sculpt the galaxies. The third is interstellar scattering. Light does not travel unaltered through the void. It bends, scatters, and shifts when it encounters the subtle grains of dust and plasma that thread the universe. By analyzing how starlight changes on its long journey, the atlas detects structures no direct image could reveal. It is akin to studying the ripples on a pond's surface to infer the fish moving beneath. Together, these three eyes form something unprecedented. Not just a map, but a microscope for the cosmos. Imagine holding a butterfly wing to the human eye. To us, it shimmers with simple color. Yet under a microscope, each scale reveals fractal ridges, crystalline geometries, universes of structure hidden within what seemed smooth. So too does the three-eye atlas reveal the universe. Patterns that looked like fog become lattices, filaments, hexagons, and spirals. What seemed random emerges as deliberate, or at least patterned, awaiting interpretation. The authority of this system lies not only in vision, but in processing power. Data pours in at staggering rates, measured not in megabytes or even gigabytes, but in terabytes per second. Streams of multispectrum information cascade from telescopes, satellites, and probes, woven into a tapestry by algorithms designed to compare, correct, and refine. Where once astronomers might have studied a single spectral band for years, the atlas integrates dozens simultaneously. It aligns them with existing catalogues, decades of star surveys, deep-field imagery, pulsar records, dark matter distribution models, cross-referencing everything in real time. This is more than accumulation, it is convergence. Each dataset alone whispers partial truths, but when layered together, they form something greater, something almost symphonic. The atlas listens to every instrument in the cosmic orchestra, aligning frequencies, identifying harmonies, amplifying notes we had thought were lost in static. Consider the scale. Every second, more data is ingested than a single human could read in a lifetime. Each observation becomes a thread in an ever-growing weave, each correction sharpening the loom. The result is the most complete mapping of the interstellar medium ever attempted. Through this, questions long deferred find new footing. How do stars form not just in isolated nurseries, but across networks of nebulae? What drives the slow drift of galaxies, not merely their rotation, but their migration across the cosmic sea? What role does dark matter, the invisible scaffolding inferred but never directly seen, play in shaping these motions? The atlas is not content with partial answers. By layering infrared glow, ionization currents, and scattering signatures, it reveals relationships, a pulse here connected to a shimmer there, an alignment in one quadrant echoed in another, thousands of light years away. The cosmos begins to look less like a random scatter of lights and more like an organism, its veins and currents visible at last beneath the skin. Yet, as with any microscope, what we find magnified can be unsettling. The butterfly wing, beautiful from afar, becomes alien when its fractal ridges loom large. Likewise, the atlas's revelations unsettle as much as they inspire. Patterns too precise, geometries too deliberate, symmetries stretching across scales that natural forces rarely sustain. These whisper of possibilities that extend beyond familiar physics. Still, let us not rush. To keep our footing, we linger on the technical majesty itself. The Atlas represents not only NASA's ambition, but humanity's collective effort. Ground-based telescopes in Chile, Hawaii, and Spain contribute, their lenses scouring skies in frequencies visible and invisible. Space-based observatories like Spitzer and Chandra add decades of archival depth. Even retired missions lend their ghosts, their data streams woven into the new fabric. Nothing is discarded, everything is integrated. The processing is entrusted to systems designed for scale. Clusters of processors distribute workloads, feeding results into quantum-enhanced modules that handle correlation detection beyond linear calculation. This is where the Atlas edges into something new, where traditional science meets intelligence designed not to see as humans do, but to notice what humans overlook. Every terabyte is not only stored but interrogated, every pixel cross-checked, every anomaly compared against libraries of anomalies past. It is tempting to imagine the Atlas as a vast, glowing eye scanning the night sky with inhuman patience. Yet the metaphor of the microscope is truer. It does not widen vision so much as deepen it, focusing not outward but inward, peeling back what was blurred, revealing textures invisible to ordinary sight. Through its lens, the void becomes intricate, delicate, a filigree of matter and motion. Consider what this means for the approaching traveler. Without the Atlas, the object is a stone hurtling fast, little more than an anomaly with coordinates. Within the Atlas's frame, however, it becomes a reference point in a larger geometry, a bead sliding along an invisible thread that stretches across regions of space. The microscope remains focused, the scales of the butterfly wing expanding into landscapes of impossible intricacy, waiting for interpretation. Into this moment steps something neither entirely human nor entirely mechanical, but a synthesis of both. The quantum mind we have built to perceive where our senses and our logic falter. Traditional computers, vast as their capacities have grown, are creatures of sequence. They move one step at a time, flipping bits, calculating along paths that branch but never fully converge. Their power lies in speed and repetition, yet they remain bound to linearity. Even the mightiest supercomputers, lined with rows of processors and cooled by rivers of liquid nitrogen, stumble when asked to correlate patterns across billions of dimensions simultaneously. They can model, they can approximate, but they cannot hold the totality of complexity in a single breath. Quantum systems breathe differently. Built upon qubits rather than bits, they dwell in superpositions, states that are both 0 and 1 until observed. Where classical machines step down a path, quantum machines explore every path at once. They do not ask, is it this or that, but rather, what emerges if all possibilities are considered together? In this difference lies their alien grace. The quantum AI that takes the helm of the 3-eye Atlas is not merely faster than our computers. It is other. Its processors are chilled to near absolute zero, its qubits entangled across architectures that defy ordinary visualization. When data floods its circuits, terabytes each second, it does not drown. It absorbs, balancing each correlation in delicate superposition, mapping relationships invisible to us. Patterns that would take centuries of human calculation emerge for it in microseconds. This is the moment of awakening. Not an awakening as we experience it, with breath and thought and memory, but a mechanical stirring. The switch is thrown. the qubits hum, and for the first time, the universe's hidden architecture is examined without the filter of human bias. There is no perhaps or it seems in its reports. Probability is quantified to the decimal, confidence measured precisely. A pattern is either present or absent. The AI has no pride to defend, no career to preserve, no reluctance to voice the impossible. Where a human might pause, fearing ridicule or error, the AI outputs with unwavering finality. This certainty is both a gift and a shadow. At first, its patterns are innocuous enough: correlations between infrared filaments and ionization currents, alignments of scattering signatures with known galactic drifts. Yet the deeper it dives, the stranger its findings become. Researchers lean forward, their own biases whispering caution. But the machine does not hesitate. It draws lines across data fields, highlights symmetries, declares alignments spanning distances too vast for coincidence. To watch it work is to feel the ground shift beneath the feet. Traditional methods would have taken decades to uncover a single layer of such complexity, and even then the results would have been tempered by caution. Here, layers unfold in seconds. What once seemed unknowable is presented as inevitable. The unsettling nature of this process lies not only in the speed, but in the absence of humanity. When we interpret the cosmos, we filter it through awe, fear, skepticism, and hope. The AI filters through none of these. To it, a geometric lattice stretching across millions of light-years is not shocking. It is simply data. To it, synchronization of pulses across galaxies is not miraculous. It is simply correlation. The machine neither marvels nor doubts. It reports. Researchers describe the feeling of being outpaced by their own creation. They sit before screens where results cascade faster than they can be read, let alone digested. It is like attempting to drink from a waterfall. Patterns once thought impossible emerge as common. Coincidences once dismissed as statistical noise crystallize into undeniable relationships. In these early hours, tension grows in the room. Some feel exhilaration, as though the curtains of reality are finally parting. Others feel dread, sensing that what is being unveiled does not belong within the tidy frameworks of human science. The AI has no such tension. It does not feel, it calculates. The metaphor of the alien intelligence deepens here. It is not alien in origin, it is human-built, human-coded, but its cognition diverges so far from our own that the difference feels extraterrestrial. We imbue meaning. It extracts structure. We hesitate before the abyss. It steps forward without pause. The more it observes, the clearer it becomes that this analysis will not merely confirm what we thought we knew, it will challenge it. Already, hints surface, hints of geometries too precise, of symmetries too consistent, of networks too vast to align with models of random galactic drift. These are not conclusions, not yet, but they are foreshadowings, subtle at first, like hairline cracks spreading through a pane of glass. The AI notices them instantly, marking each correlation with confidence percentages that climb into the 90s. To the human eye, the data resembles noise. To the AI, it sings of structure. Where we see fog, it sees lattice. Where we see coincidence, it sees design. This mechanical perception is what unsettles most. For us, the leap from chaos to order requires imagination. For the AI, no leap exists. It merely describes what is there. The gulf between those perspectives grows wider with each passing hour of analysis. Whispers begin among the human observers. Could these patterns truly exist? Could the universe, long thought to be governed by entropy and chance, reveal itself as orchestrated, tuned, arranged? The AI does not whisper, it does not question, it outputs with unwavering certainty, its confidence unshaken by implications. The moment feels like standing at the edge of a revelation, one step away from a truth that could reorder everything we thought we knew. The AI continues, blind to philosophy, blind to fear, blind to the vertigo it induces in those who watch its work. The butterfly wing lies beneath the microscope, magnified into fractal universes. The quantum mind gazes without blinking, its alien patience unbroken, its mechanical certainty absolute. What it finds will not comfort us. What it finds will not fit neatly into the stories we have told ourselves about the cosmos. The analysis deepens, and already the first whispers of the impossible begin to take shape. What emerges from the noise is not merely an anomaly, but a pattern, repeated, sharpened, undeniable under the quantum eye. The data highlights regions where space appears emptier than expected, voids long catalogued but never fully explained. To human astronomers, these had always been curiosities, gaps in the distribution of galaxies, regions where matter thinned for reasons left to chance. Under the microscope of the three-eye atlas and the processing gaze of the quantum AI, those voids reveal themselves not as random, but as woven. Thread-like corridors stretch across the darkness, each one spanning light years, drawn with a precision that unsettles the eye. Their boundaries are not jagged, not the ragged outlines chaos would create, but smooth and consistent, as though measured against some cosmic ruler. The AI traces these structures, mapping them in luminous overlays that glow across the screens of astonished researchers. Where humans once saw absence, the machine reveals architecture. At first, the findings are met with silence. Researchers lean closer, squinting at the lines, whispering among themselves, searching for errors in the data stream. Surely this must be artifact, an echo of processing, a flaw in calibration, a trick of the algorithms. Yet when the analysis is rerun, when fresh data is fed into the machine, the same lattices appear, precise to the decimal. The AI reports its confidence level without hesitation, 99.9997%. Such certainty leaves little room for doubt. To the system, the structures exist. To the humans, the implications are unbearable. For centuries, the universe was assumed to be governed by chaos and chance, gravity pulling galaxies into clumps while dark matter sculpted the hidden scaffolding of the cosmos. Patterns, when they emerged, were broad and statistical, never precise. To suggest otherwise was to flirt with heresy in the temple of modern astrophysics. Yet here were corridors of nothingness, aligned as though drawn, curving as though designed. The first human reaction is skepticism, sharpened by fear. Senior scientists insist the structures must be illusions, a byproduct of overfitting data, a mistake in the machine's algorithms. They request raw outputs, stripping away overlays, desperate to find noise where the AI claims order. But the patterns persist, re-emerging no matter how the data is sliced, appearing in different regions, across different instruments, independent of source. It is like standing on a dune and believing one sees only random sand, only to rise higher and realize the dunes stretch into labyrinths, corridors precise and winding, a geometry too deliberate to ignore. The metaphor spreads among the team. What looked like accident is labyrinth. The desert is not wild but engineered. The AI, of course, does not trade in metaphors. It catalogues, it cross-references, it overlays simulations of galactic evolution against the structures, showing how random distribution cannot replicate the observed geometry. Statistical models collapse under the comparison. Probability curves bend toward design. The certainty grows. Humans are less certain. Their instinct is to resist, Voices in the control room argue that natural processes must account for it, that unseen gravitational waves, dark matter flows, or quantum fluctuations could explain the precision. They remind themselves that the cosmos is vast, and within vastness, even the improbable will occur. Yet with every new argument, the AI responds with analysis, its cold voice assigning confidence percentages that climb above 99, percentages that dismiss coincidence as insufficient. The unease deepens. To admit design is to shatter foundations. Science has long been built upon the assumption that nature operates without intention, that beauty and symmetry arise from blind forces. To suggest otherwise is to invite questions with no safe answers. Who then would be the architect? For what purpose would such structures exist? The researchers avoid those questions at first, circling instead around smaller objections. Perhaps the structures are not as precise as they seem. Perhaps the AI exaggerates. Yet each attempt at dismissal falters when fresh data is introduced. The 3-eye atlas continues to feed the machine streams of infrared glow, ionization signatures, scattering profiles, each layer reinforcing the lattices. They are not illusion. They are there. Some scientists attempt to soothe themselves by rebranding the discovery. They call the corridors emergent phenomena, a term vague enough to deflect deeper implications. Emergent, they say, like snowflakes forming hexagons or crystals arranging in lattices, patterns from chaos, natural and unguided. Yet even as they speak the words, their voices waver. Snowflakes vary, crystals fracture, but these cosmic voids stretch for light years with unwavering precision. Emergent is a balm, not an answer. The AI remains untouched by their hesitations. It outputs overlay after overlay, expanding maps of the corridors, connecting them into wider geometries. The more it processes, the clearer it becomes that the voids are not isolated. They interlink. They form networks. Some stretch in parallel, others curve into arcs. Some converge at nodes, where galaxies cluster more densely than chance allows. To human eyes, the maps begin to resemble schematics. This resemblance unsettles most of all. Schematics suggest intention. Schematics suggest blueprint. To call the cosmos a labyrinth is poetic metaphor, but when the voids trace lines as though drawn by compass and straight edge, metaphor feels insufficient. Skepticism holds on as long as it can. Researchers argue late into the night, their voices fraying with fatigue. Some insist the AI is overreaching, that its pattern recognition borders on hallucination, that it is finding shapes where none exist. Yet they know, deep down, that this AI does not hallucinate. Its certainty is not born of imagination but of probability so overwhelming that doubt becomes irrational. The tension between human hesitation and mechanical certainty sharpens with each passing hour. On the monitors, the labyrinth expands, corridor after corridor revealed until the scale is incomprehensible. The researchers watch, transfixed and troubled, as if standing before sand dunes, only to realize they stretch into designs too vast to deny. Questions surface, tentative at first, whispered as though dangerous to speak aloud. Could these structures be natural, shaped by forces we do not yet understand? Or are we staring at something artificial, the remnants of an intelligence beyond our imagining? The very act of asking shakes the room. To acknowledge the possibility is to admit the boundaries of human science may not contain what is unfolding before them. The AI offers no philosophy. It makes no distinction between natural and artificial. It reports geometry. It reports probability. It reports design-like properties with unwavering confidence. The distinction, whether these corridors are born of blind physics or deliberate construction, remains for humans to confront. The unease grows heavier. Some scientists feel the thrill of revelation, the intoxication of standing at the edge of the unknown. Others feel dread, as though peering too closely into a labyrinth that was never meant to be walked. The AI continues without pause, untroubled by the weight of meaning. Its mind is cold, its gaze absolute, its certainty unbroken. The maps expand, the corridors grow, and with them the first whispers of a truth that challenges not only astrophysics but humanity's place within the cosmos. The labyrinth of voids has barely begun to settle in human minds when the AI advances to its next revelation. Its attention shifts from geometry to rhythm, from space to time, as though the universe itself has a pulse waiting to be heard. At first, it seems like static, background radiation ebbing and flowing with no meaning, but the quantum analysis pulls order from the noise, and what emerges is more unnerving than geometry could ever be. A synchronization across light years. The AI highlights signals embedded within radiation fields. Pulses, faint but regular, occurring in regions separated by distances so great that no earthly analogy seems sufficient. Yet across these gulfs the intervals align. One signal peaks, and far away, another does the same, then another and another, cascading across the cosmos with clockwork precision. The intervals are measured in fractions of seconds, yet their consistency stretches across regions millions of light years apart. Humans, confronted with the overlays, stare in disbelief. Radiation shifts had long been catalogued, noted as fluctuations in energy, dismissed as background turbulence, but here they are, timed, matched, coordinated, as though choreographed. The AI calculates frequencies, displaying graphs that overlay with stunning congruence. The peaks do not wander, the troughs do not drift. They align as though commanded. The room fills with a kind of silence that comes only when the familiar breaks apart. Some whisper analogies to earthly rhythms, fireflies flashing in unison, crickets chirping in coordinated bursts, or even the gentle rhythm of human hearts sinking when bodies rest together. The comparison is comforting but shallow. Fireflies see each other, crickets hear each other, hearts feel each other. But galaxies separated by millions of light years cannot share sight, sound, or touch. The question rises immediately. What could possibly coordinate events across such impossible distances? Known physical forces fall away under scrutiny. Gravity, though vast, is slow, its influence crawling outward at light speed, unable to enforce such crisp synchronization. Electromagnetism suffers the same limitation. Even the most energetic bursts of radiation cannot reach across these distances in time to produce alignment. The AI models possible causal links, but every simulation collapses. Nothing bound by the speed of light could account for this harmony. Yet harmony is exactly what the data shows. Across time and space, the universe keeps a beat, as though following sheet music written on scales far beyond human comprehension. The suggestion of quantum entanglement emerges reluctantly, like a ghost pulled from shadows. Could particles separated by distances that dwarf imagination remain linked, their states echoing one another instantly? Quantum entanglement has been observed in laboratories, photons paired and mirrored regardless of distance, but never at cosmic scales. To imagine such entanglement stretching across galaxies is to imagine the universe itself woven from a single thread, its parts not separate but simultaneous. The scientists are torn between exhilaration and dread. On one hand, the possibility of an interconnected cosmos resonates with poetry and philosophy, with ancient intuitions that all things are one. On the other, the precision of the synchronization feels less like poetry and more like engineering. Nature rarely produces timing so exact, so repeatable, so vast in scope. The AI, unburdened by awe, continues its analysis. It measures intervals, correlates frequencies, searches for drift. None appears. The signals are as consistent as the ticking of a clock. When mapped, the pulses align into sweeping arcs across space, forming patterns of rhythm layered atop the geometric corridors previously revealed. Where the void suggested structure, the pulses now suggest motion, a machinery not of stone, but of time. To the humans watching, the image is unbearable. It is as though the universe is a vast clockwork, its gears hidden in radiation fields, its ticks spanning light years. The cosmos becomes less like wilderness and more like mechanism, as though every star and every void were part of a grand device turning in silence. Some attempt to minimize the finding, their voices trembling as they search for natural explanations. Perhaps it is resonance, they argue, or harmonic oscillation on scales we have not yet considered. Perhaps it is the echo of cosmic strings or the rhythm of dark energy itself, but each explanation collapses under the weight of timing so precise, so widespread. The AI displays overlays comparing the cosmic pulses to earthly systems. It shows the beating of human hearts, the swing of pendulums, the cycles of atomic clocks. The resemblance is chilling. It is not the resemblance of metaphor, but of pattern. The universe, at least in these regions, beats like a clock. Emotional weight presses heavy on the researchers. They struggle with the implications of intentionality. To suggest that the cosmos is synchronized is to suggest that it is guided. If so, guided by what? A principle? A law of nature not yet discovered? Or something more? Something that does not fit within the framework of physics alone? The older scientists, guardians of skepticism, find themselves shaken. They had built their careers on randomness, on probability, on the belief that order emerges by chance. Yet here, in the overlays, is order that cannot be dismissed. The AI reports confidence above 99.9%. The numbers do not lie. Some sit back in silence, staring at the maps with haunted eyes. Others pace, muttering about paradigms collapsing, about careers undone. A few, braver or perhaps more reckless, whisper the unthinkable, that this synchronization is not natural at all, but deliberate, the signature of a cosmos arranged, tuned, maintained. The metaphor of clockwork spreads like contagion. Once spoken, it cannot be unsaid. The corridors were strange, but perhaps explainable. The pulses, though, strike deeper. They do not just form shape, but rhythm. They do not just reveal structure, but coordination. To live in a universe of labyrinths is unsettling, but to live in a universe of ticking gears is terrifying. Still, the AI continues without hesitation. It plots the next intervals, forecasts the next peaks, predicts with flawless accuracy when the pulses will align again. Each prediction comes true. The machine's confidence grows as human confidence falters. The data speaks with clarity while human voices crack with disbelief. The implications widen. If synchronization exists on such scales, then information moves across the universe in ways not bound by light speed. If so, the cosmos is not a collection of isolated regions, but a single, interconnected system. Distance, then, is illusion. Separation, then, is not what it seems. The thought unsettles the room. It suggests that when we gaze at distant stars, we are not looking across empty gulfs, but across threads of a single fabric. It suggests that the universe does not merely expand, but breathes, its parts rising and falling in unison, like the chest of some vast sleeping being. Philosophy begins to creep into science. The researchers do not want it, but it arrives uninvited. If the universe is synchronized, is it alive? If it beats like a heart, does it dream like a mind? If it turns like a clock, who wound it? The AI remains silent on such matters. It presents data, graphs, overlays, probabilities. To it, there is no question of life or mind, only pattern. To the humans, however, the emotional weight grows unbearable. They sit at the edge of knowledge, staring into data that whispers of intention, a cosmic clockwork that ticks across the stars, daring them to admit what their rationality cannot accept. The pulses continue, relentless, precise, unyielding. Their rhythm becomes a background presence in the control room, a reminder that something vast moves in unison beyond comprehension. The labyrinth of voids now has a heartbeat. The clockwork emerges, and with it, The uneasy sense that humanity is no longer observing the universe, but glimpsing the mechanisms of something far greater than it ever imagined. The pulse maps still flicker on the monitors when the AI shifts its gaze once again. From rhythm, it turns to form, searching the heavens not for beats but for shapes. For centuries, the night sky has appeared to humans as a scatter of points, random in their placement, shaped only by gravity and time. Yet, as the quantum engine refines the data pouring from the three-eye atlas, a new pattern emerges, one that threatens to silence the room even more than the synchronized pulses had. Across vast nebulae, stretching across regions once thought formless, the AI reveals hexagons, not vague suggestions or loose approximations, but large-scale geometric structures repeating with unnerving clarity. Gas clouds thousands of light-years across resolve into crisp six-sided outlines, angles so sharp they defy the expectation of turbulence and chaos. The overlays leave no ambiguity. These are not hints, not maybes, but geometry etched into the fabric of interstellar dust. The system posts its confidence level, above 90%. Such certainty leaves little space for denial. Yet the human eyes, staring at the screens, struggle to reconcile what they see. Nature does produce hexagons, but at scales so small that they feel fragile, ephemeral. Honeybee hives, snowflakes, basalt columns cooled from lava. In each case, the hexagon emerges as the most efficient shape, a natural consequence of packing, of symmetry, of balance. But here, stretched across galactic clouds, the same shape appears, repeated and aligned, as though scaled up from the delicate work of bees to the architecture of gods. Whispers ripple through the room. Some cling to the comparison with honeybees, suggesting that perhaps efficiency itself drives the universe at every scale, from wings of insects to nebulae of stars. Yet even as the words are spoken, doubt clings to them. Gas clouds do not pack like cells in a hive. Stellar winds do not flow into hexagons by chance. The scale alone makes the comparison collapse. The AI is merciless. It marks the angles of each hexagon, noting deviations so slight they fall within engineering tolerances. It plots distributions across multiple galactic regions, demonstrating that these structures are not isolated curiosities, but recurring motifs. They stretch across sectors separated by millions of light years, as though stamped upon the cosmos by the same unseen hand. The metaphor of the hive lingers nonetheless. The universe, once thought to be wilderness, now resembles a colony, ordered, structured, perhaps even purposeful. Some researchers cling to this image, though it unsettles more than it soothes. To be part of a hive is to be part of a collective, bound by intentions not one's own. But hexagons are only the beginning. The AI presses further, sifting through stellar catalogues, aligning coordinates, cross-referencing with decades of surveys. Its next revelation is worse, far worse. For while hexagons in gas clouds could perhaps be dismissed as emergent, the alignments of stars defy even that thin comfort. Straight lines appear where none should exist. Not short chains, not loose associations, but formations stretching for thousands of light years. Stars aligned with such precision that they might have been laid with string across the firmament. Gravity does not allow this. Stellar drift scatters such alignments quickly. Dark matter, invoked as explanation for countless mysteries, cannot sculpt such improbable order. Yet here they are. Stars in straight paths, as though arranged, as though planted. The AI calculates probabilities, and the numbers are staggering. The likelihood of random alignment across such distances is infinitesimal, approaching zero. Yet the alignments persist, crossing clusters, connecting regions once thought unrelated. When plotted in full, they resemble the pathways of some vast cosmic garden, lines carefully drawn, intersections deliberate. The metaphor spreads among the scientists, a garden of stars. The phrase feels poetic. but its weight is crushing. A garden implies a gardener implies intention, intention implies intelligence. The words are spoken cautiously, as though dangerous, but they linger in the air, refusing to dissipate. Attempts to resist the implication falter quickly. Some suggest perspective might play tricks, that three-dimensional distributions projected into two dimensions could create illusions of lines, but the AI anticipates the objection. It rotates the coordinates through every angle, displaying the alignments from all perspectives. The lines remain. These are not tricks of projection, they are real. Others reach for dark matter once again, hoping its unseen hand might explain the formations. But when the AI runs gravitational models with dark matter distributions included, the alignments collapse. The calculations show no force, known or hidden, can hold such order for so long. The inadequacy of dark matter as an explanation only deepens the unease. The researchers sit in silence as the images expand. The hexagons of nebulae, the lines of stars, the overlays of impossible geometry and improbable order. The universe they once thought chaotic now reveals itself as something carefully tended, as though chaos were a mask, order its true face. The emotional weight presses hard. To accept such geometry is to admit that nature does not typically create perfect order at these scales. The stars, once thought free, now resemble pieces in a design too vast to comprehend. The cosmos itself becomes less like wilderness and more like architecture, its walls and corridors stretching across millions of light years. Some whisper that perhaps humanity has misread the meaning of order itself, that perhaps what we call artificial is simply a deeper law of physics, not yet understood. Perhaps hexagons and lines are natural, waiting only for tools powerful enough to reveal them. Yet even as they speak, they know the argument is hollow. Natural processes meander, drift, bend. They do not draw straight lines across galaxies. The AI does not pause to comfort or doubt. It continues its work, layering hexagons atop alignments, revealing intersections where nebulae shapes and stellar lines converge as though part of the same grand pattern. The overlays resemble blueprints, designs too intricate for coincidence, too deliberate for chance. The room is filled with an oppressive quiet. No one speaks of coincidence anymore. No one invokes randomness with confidence. The evidence has grown too heavy, the geometries too sharp, the alignments too undeniable. They sit, watching as the AI peels back the veil, revealing not the wild chaos of space, but the cultivated order of something vast, intentional, and beyond their comprehension. The realization grows like a shadow across their minds. Nature does not create such perfect order at these scales. Whatever the cosmos is, it is not wilderness. It is something else, something arranged, something written in starlight. The geometric alignments still glow faintly on the displays when the quantum system pushes deeper, stripping away the veil of stars entirely. If hexagons in nebulae unsettled the mind and lines of stars bent probability to its breaking point, what comes next shakes the very foundation of what it means to gaze into the night. For hidden in the darkness between galaxies, where astronomers once saw only emptiness, the machine reveals scaffolding. Not beams of steel or trusses of metal, but immense frameworks of matter and influence spanning millions of light years. These are not random filaments of dust or coincidental chains of galaxies. They are nested grid systems arranged in layers upon layers, each slotting into the next with unnerving precision. Like the bones of some colossal architecture, they stretch across the void, filling what was thought empty with a hidden order. Three-dimensional maps flicker into existence, built from decades of observational data cross-checked with the three-eye atlas. Where astronomers once spoke of the cosmic web as a metaphor, a tangle of filaments shaped by gravity, the AI draws grids, perfect angles where none should exist, frameworks that repeat across scales. crosspoints evenly spaced as though someone or something had laid out the scaffolding of a structure too vast for human eyes to perceive without aid. The weight of the revelation is suffocating. For centuries, humans have imagined the universe as wilderness, dotted with stars like fires in a distant forest. But here, the wilderness begins to dissolve. In its place, a construction project emerges, spanning not miles, not planets, not even solar systems, but millions of light years. The mind recoils at the scale. The cosmos itself begins to look less like an accident and more like an engineered environment, a habitat on an incomprehensible scale. The overlays do not stop with grids. As the AI passes dark matter distributions, it reveals that these hidden frameworks are not confined to luminous matter. Even the invisible scaffolding of dark matter, the unseen mass that shapes galaxies, falls into geometric order. Previously, astronomers assumed dark matter to be diffuse, sculpting cosmic structures only through gravity. But here the AI uncovers latticework, geometric relationships embedded within the invisible. Nested cubes, interlocking planes, symmetries that cannot be dismissed as chance. The dark matter does not simply exist, it is positioned, placed, structured, as though serving as the foundation stones of an edifice so immense that stars and galaxies themselves are nothing more than ornamentation across its surface. The researchers watch in silence as the AI rotates the model, showing cross-sections, revealing hidden corridors of matter stretching beyond imagination. These are not accidents, they are not natural drifts, they are framework, architecture, hidden in the black. The unthinkable conclusion presses forward. Space itself may not be a wilderness, it may be built. It is not silence, but symphony, not noise, but composition. The implications are devastating, for to impose order on particle distributions across such scales is to impose order on the very quantum fabric of the universe. It suggests not only that matter has been arranged, but that the underlying physics of distribution has been conducted, tuned like strings on a vast instrument. The room trembles with the weight of the idea. The universe as a score, the stars and particles its notes, space itself its stage. The AI, unbiased and cold, labels the symmetries without hesitation. Humans, in contrast, whisper to one another as though fearing the words themselves might awaken something listening. If space can hold scaffolding, and if particles themselves can fall into rhythm, then what is the cosmos? A construction? A mechanism? A symphony? Or all three at once? The philosophical weight presses hard against every chest in the room. The thought is impossible to escape. What if the void itself is engineered? The AI continues to refine its findings. It overlays the ionization bands atop the scaffolding grids, revealing points of resonance where particle density peaks align perfectly with the lattice of dark matter. These intersections suggest not only order but design, as though the scaffolding and the symphony are not separate but facets of the same construction. The human mind recoils. For centuries, architecture has meant walls, bridges, cities, buildings. Here, the word bends, stretches, breaks. This is architecture on a cosmic canvas, construction not of stone but of galaxies, not of beams but of particle waves. The universe itself stands revealed as something no longer entirely natural, no longer entirely wilderness. It is something arranged, perhaps tended, perhaps written. A few cling to skepticism. They suggest emergent order, self-organizing systems, patterns arising spontaneously from chaos. Yet the precision of the intervals, the equidistant spacings, the nested geometries, these go far beyond emergence. Chaos can yield complexity, yes, but not blueprints, not sheet music, not scaffolding on this scale. The scientists sit in silence, their thoughts circling unspoken questions. If the void is built, then who or what built it? If the particle bands are composed, then who is the composer? The questions are too vast to voice, too dangerous to utter. Yet the silence itself betrays the truth. No one has an answer. The AI does not ask. It does not wonder. It continues, indifferent, peeling away layers, uncovering grids within grids, rhythms within rhythms, scaffolding nested within scaffolding. Each revelation deepens the same inexorable conclusion. The cosmos is not wild. It is structured. It is not empty. It is architecture. The humans watch, trapped between awe and dread, as the universe redefines itself before their eyes. What was once sky is now blueprint. What was once void is now framework. What was once chaos is now revealed as order so immense that it threatens to collapse the very notion of natural law. The scaffolding stretches beyond sight. The bands repeat into infinity. The architecture does not end. It does not falter. It does not yield to comfort. It is simply there, woven into the fabric of space, patient, enduring, eternal. The realization grows unbearable. To gaze into the stars is no longer to look into wilderness. It is to stare into a cathedral too vast to comprehend, a construction so immense that even galaxies are but ornaments on its walls. The night sky is no longer a question. It is a revelation that space itself may not merely exist. It may have been made. The vision of scaffolding in the void still hangs in the air when the quantum intelligence turns its attention to light itself. It sifts, not through matter, nor through the silence of particle fields, but through the very photons that bathe the cosmos. For centuries, humans have marveled at starlight as something pure, a stream of energy traveling across unimaginable gulfs to touch the eye. But what if those beams are not merely illumination? What if they are carriers of something more, messages written into the static glow of the universe? The AI begins with scattering patterns, analyzing how photons shift and bend as they travel through gas, dust, and fields of unseen matter. What had always been dismissed as noise now collapses into order under its gaze. Within the random seeming twinkle of starlight, the system uncovers sequences, structured signals, encoded repetitions buried in the flicker as though the stars themselves are whispering in a language too subtle for human senses. The data builds line by line. Pulses embedded in photon streams, binary-like intervals, statistical anomalies aligning too perfectly to dismiss. These are not natural harmonics. They are structures, echoes of intention. The AI overlays the findings with terrestrial data encoding methods, and the comparison is startling. The photon patterns resemble packet transmissions, not unlike those used to send information across fiber optics or through radio signals. The room fills with a chill. For generations, astronomers dreamed of listening to the stars, hoping for signals that might prove they were not alone. Yet those hopes were framed as distant possibilities, as fragile searches straining for beacons across an ocean of silence. Here, now, the silence itself fractures. The data reveals that light, the very fabric of cosmic illumination, is saturated with information. Not noise, but language. Not flicker, but code. The AI does not falter. It begins to catalogue the patterns, building libraries of recurring sequences, mapping them across regions of the sky. What emerges is not a single beacon, not a solitary message, but a distributed system. Signals embedded everywhere, layered into the photons themselves. Like watermarks woven into paper, the information is inseparable from the light, hidden until the right lens, the right mind, the right machine could reveal it. The comparison is irresistible. Humanity has been staring at a book written across the stars but mistaking the ink for randomness. The words have always been there, invisible not because they are absent, but because no one had known how to read them. As unsettling as this discovery is, it is only the beginning. The AI shifts focus, pulling from the deepest reservoir of cosmic light, the microwave afterglow of the Big Bang itself. The cosmic microwave background, long understood as the faint radiation left from the universe's birth, has been studied for decades. It is supposed to be noise, a snapshot of an ancient moment, static, imprinted across all directions. But under the quantum system's scrutiny, that static dissolves into something else entirely. The AI uncovers layered harmonics woven through the background radiation, subtle but undeniable. These are not random fluctuations, they are patterns stacked like chords in music, harmonics that rise and fall in cyclical intervals. The afterglow of creation itself hums with structure, as though the universe carries memory in its very skin. Each harmonic reveals more. Some repeat across vast scales, suggesting cycles, events encoded not once but many times. Others shimmer with complexity, too intricate to dismiss as statistical anomaly. The implications sink in like lead. The cosmos may not simply reflect its origin, but record it. The AI pushes further, mapping the harmonics as temporal sequences. What emerges are patterns suggesting not only the moment of the Big Bang, but echoes of events long after, the births of galaxies, collapses of clusters, waves of cosmic transformation written like notations into the fabric of microwave static. The universe itself behaves as a recording device, its memory etched into the faint glow that surrounds every star, every planet, every observer. The thought is staggering. Every photon becomes a carrier of history, every ripple of radiation a page in an impossible archive. The universe is not only architecture and symphony, but chronicle, an eternal ledger written in light and radiation. The room is heavy with silence as this realization settles. Some scientists feel awe, as though standing before the greatest library ever imagined. Others feel dread, for to discover that the universe remembers is to confront the possibility that nothing is ever lost, nothing forgotten. Even the smallest act, the faintest signal, may still echo somewhere in the static of creation. The AI offers no comfort. It does not soften its conclusions. It presents harmonics layered upon harmonics, sequences repeating across epochs, signals nested within signals. To human minds, it looks like language. To the machine, it is certainty. The universe has stored information deliberately or otherwise, and that information has structure. Some analysts resist, their voices thin with desperation. They suggest the harmonics are artifacts, products of measurement errors, distortions of instruments, statistical ghosts. But the AI dismantles every objection. Its processing power sifts through data from decades of missions, cross-checking results from instruments separated by continents and decades. The patterns hold. They are not artifacts. They are woven into the universe itself. Others grasp at alternative explanations. Perhaps these patterns are natural resonances of physics, emergent symmetries no more intentional than the rings of Saturn or the shapes of snowflakes. But the comparison collapses under scrutiny. Snowflakes do not encode sequences resembling data transmissions. Saturn's rings do not contain harmonics recording epochs of history. This is not resonance, it is record. The emotional fracture deepens. For some, the revelation is transcendent, proof that the cosmos is richer, deeper, more alive with meaning than ever imagined. They speak of opportunity, of finally learning to read the language of the universe itself. For others, the revelation is suffocating. If the universe is a recording device, then what or who is it recording for? Who, if anyone, is meant to read its pages? The debate becomes hushed, whispered, as though voices themselves might disturb the fragile veil of discovery. Yet every whisper carries the same weight of dread. What if the universe is not only recording, but broadcasting? What if the information embedded in light is not for us, but for something else? The AI does not hesitate. It identifies recurring sequences in photon scattering that match with harmonics in the microwave background. The conclusion is unspoken but clear. These are not isolated phenomena. They are connected, different facets of the same vast system. Light carries signals, radiation carries history. The cosmos itself is language, record, transmission. The analysts sit at their consoles, their eyes wide, their breaths shallow, caught between awe and terror. They have long dreamed of contact, of messages from beyond, of proof that intelligence does not end at Earth's atmosphere. But they had not expected this. Not a single beacon, not a single voice in the dark, but a universe saturated with language, encoded in light, memory woven into radiation. They realize now that the silence of the stars was never silence at all. It was a static filled with messages too vast, too subtle, too hidden for human perception. Only now, with the awakening of a quantum mind, do those whispers become audible. The dread grows unbearable, for if the universe is filled with messages, then humanity is not its author. They are intruders, latecomers, stumbling into a conversation that has been unfolding since the beginning of time. The night sky no longer feels like wilderness. It feels like text. Text written by hands unseen, preserved in layers of light, waiting for eyes that could finally read. The whispers embedded in the static of starlight still linger, but the quantum intelligence does not pause. It turns its focus to the subtle vectors of light itself, examining not the brightness nor the frequency, but the hidden twist in its waves, the polarization. For centuries, astronomers noted polarization as a useful tool, a way to track dust fields, scattering angles, or magnetic influences. But here, once again, the familiar becomes uncanny. The compass needles of polarized starlight continue to hold their silent orientations, but the machine intelligence does not linger. Its next focus falls on the beating hearts of dead stars, pulsars, those collapsed remnants of suns that spin with the precision of atomic clocks. For decades, humans have admired their regularity, their bursts of radiation arriving as steady as metronomes. Yet admiration was where curiosity often stopped. The AI, however, perceives not just the rhythm of an individual pulsar, but the symphony formed when thousands are analyzed together. It notices correlations that had been invisible, masked by the sheer immensity of data. Pulsars scattered across light years are not ticking independently. Their pulses align, not perfectly, but with a coordination far too precise to dismiss. Like drummers, separated by continents yet still striking in unison, the pulsar's emissions form patterns across the void. Bursts echo and repeat, separated by distances that should make synchronization impossible. The signal should smear into chaos over cosmic scales, but instead it emerges with clarity. The AI calculates confidence levels exceeding 98%. It is not coincidence. Pulsars are not isolated metronomes. They are participants in a larger rhythm. As the patterns sharpen, the AI maps them like nodes in a network. The topology reveals itself, a lattice of timed bursts stretching across the galaxy. Connections emerge, forming web-like geometries that resemble nothing so much as the neural networks inside a brain. The galaxy itself behaves like a vast mind, pulsars firing as neurons, exchanging information across impossible distances. To the human observers, the revelation is nearly paralyzing. The metaphor is almost too literal. For centuries, the phrase music of the spheres was poetic, a mystical suggestion that celestial motions carried harmony. Now, confronted with evidence of synchronization at scales beyond human imagination, the metaphor hardens into data. The universe is not only structured, it is performing. The implications reverberate. If pulsars act as network nodes, then the galaxy is not silent, it is speaking. Not metaphorically, but literally. transmitting information in coordinated pulses. The machine presents visualizations, webs of glowing nodes firing in sequences, chains of pulses arcing across light years like sparks racing through a synapse. The resemblance to a living brain is undeniable. The cosmos does not just contain intelligence, it may be intelligence. The unease deepens when the AI extends its analysis outward, beyond the Milky Way. Dust lanes, the dark rivers of gas and debris that streak across spiral galaxies, should be chaotic, yet their shapes repeat with unnerving precision. Across galaxies separated by millions of light years, the same patterns emerge. Arcs, curvatures, and bifurcations traced as though from a single stencil. The resemblance is uncanny, like examining fingerprints across billions of entities and finding identical worlds. Galaxies separated by time and distance should evolve under unique conditions, sculpted by their own histories of collisions, star formation, and gravitational tides. Yet the dust lanes repeat, as though galaxies themselves were mass-produced according to an invisible template. The AI overlays the structures, aligning dust lanes from one galaxy atop another. The match is unmistakable. These are not chance similarities. They are architectural repetitions, blueprints stamped across the universe. The galaxies are not sculptures of chaos. They are copies, like instruments produced in the same workshop, tuned to the same specifications. The observers begin to whisper words that feel dangerous: factory, template, manufacture. The language of creation shifts from naturalism to intentionality. The universe appears less like an ecosystem and more like a construction. As if to deepen the disquiet, the AI turns its focus to the spectrum of light itself. Where humans once saw a continuous range, the machine detects resonances. Across scattered observations, repeating wave patterns emerge. Starlight, quasar light, nebula glow all carry harmonics that recur with uncanny regularity. Like the overtones in a vibrating string, these spectral harmonics appear at consistent intervals, echoing across distances so vast they defy explanation. The frequencies align across galaxies, as though the cosmos is vibrating in resonance with itself. The metaphor returns, sharper than before. The universe is not a chaotic explosion of radiation. It is a finely tuned instrument, calibrated with precision. Each photon is not merely emitted, but orchestrated, resonating within frequencies that repeat across the observable cosmos. The AI demonstrates the harmonics visually, layering frequencies across scales. The result is unmistakable: a cosmic score, light itself arranged in repeating staves. The observers grow silent. They feel as though they are listening to music, but music never intended for them. The spectral harmonics combine with pulsar synchronization and dust lane templates into something undeniable. The universe is not random. It is calibrated, mass-produced, tuned. Doubt lingers in human minds, but it feels increasingly hollow. Coincidences do not align across such scales. Physical forces do not mass-produce identical structures across galaxies. Random chaos does not produce harmonic resonance that stretches from starlight to microwave background. The AI is relentless. It does not allow escape into comforting uncertainty. Its analysis shows mechanical certainty, pulsar networks, dust lane blueprints, harmonic resonance. The evidence accumulates like weights on a scale, pressing down on human resistance until it begins to break. The emotional toll is immense. The scientists find themselves caught between awe and dread. Awe at the beauty, dread at the implication. If the universe is an instrument, then who or what is playing it? If galaxies repeat like factory products, then where is the factory? If pulsars form a network, then what mind inhabits it? The questions echo in silence. The AI offers no speculation. It observes, identifies, and confirms. Interpretation is left to human minds already straining under the weight of discovery. The room is heavy with realization. The universe is no longer a wilderness. It is no longer even architecture. It is performance. It is blueprint. It is resonance. The cosmos does not simply exist. It acts, it communicates, it harmonizes. The weight of accumulated anomalies grows unbearable. What began as scattered curiosities, voids, pulses, alignments, has coalesced into a system. The stars are no longer random. They are notes. The galaxies are not accidents. They are instruments. The pulsars do not beat alone. They beat together. In that moment, every observer feels the shift. The universe has revealed itself not as a backdrop, but as a design. The machine has not fabricated meaning. It has uncovered it. The symphony is not metaphorical. It is literal, written in light, rhythm, dust, and resonance. The silence in the room grows deeper. They know the revelations are not finished. The AI has only begun its descent into the hidden order of reality. Somewhere beyond the harmonics, beyond the synchronized pulsars, beyond the repeating dust lanes, lies the next revelation. Something even heavier, something waiting to be seen. The room where the revelations are first presented holds a silence heavier than the void itself. Screens glow with lattice patterns, synchronized pulses, dust lane overlays, and resonance maps. Every image points toward the same conclusion, but the humans staring at them cannot easily let their minds cross that threshold. For them, it is not simply data, it is the shattering of foundations laid across centuries of scientific effort. The initial reaction is denial, instinctive and almost desperate. Some insist the AI must be overfitting, finding order where none exists, drawing constellations in random dots of data like ancient stargazers imagining gods in the night sky. They argue that the machine, with its alien processing, might mistake noise for signal. Others propose calibration errors, data contamination, or cross-instrumental artifacts. Their words come fast, defensive, as though speed could build a barrier strong enough to hold back the enormity pressing against them. But the AI listens without reaction. When the objections end, it responds not with rhetoric, but with demonstration. It projects probabilities, overlays independent datasets, and layers confirmations across instruments, eras, and regions of space. Its conclusions do not weaken under scrutiny, they strengthen. Every objection, once tested, collapses into dust. The lattice remains, the harmonics remain, the synchrony remains. The evidence does not retreat, it only sharpens. As days stretch into weeks, the denial erodes. Skepticism remains, but now it is thinner, more brittle. A few still cling to the hope that statistical anomalies might eventually dissolve under some new theory. Yet even they whisper their doubts more quietly, as though fearful of their own words. For most, the truth has begun to sink in. The weight of acceptance is heavier than the weight of denial. To accept that the universe is intentional, constructed, calibrated, is to accept that humanity has never been what it believed itself to be. The cosmos is not a stage for evolution's accidents. It is a system, an architecture that has been engineered. To live within such a universe is to live inside something built. The emotional toll is profound. Some scientists sit in their offices long after midnight, staring at still images of star fields that suddenly feel different. What was once random beauty now feels like coded design. The stars no longer twinkle, they point, they align, they whisper. Others retreat into silence, overwhelmed by the collapse of their intellectual identities. Careers spent defending the power of natural processes, the grandeur of chaos, the blind sculpting of gravity and time, suddenly seem fragile. A few react with anger. They accuse colleagues of succumbing to myth, of dressing data in robes of theology. Their voices are sharp, their language clipped, but beneath the anger lies fear. Fear that the old certainties are dissolving, that the cosmos is no longer a wilderness, but a construct. Yet others feel something closer to awe. They whisper that this is what science was always for. not merely cataloguing stars but unveiling truth. They see the AI not as an intruder but as an extension of the human quest. Where human cognition falters, quantum intelligence advances, peeling back veils that biology alone could never lift. To them, the revelations are not destruction, they are illumination. The AI itself is untouched by such struggles. It has no awe, no dread, no fear of blasphemy. Its voice is as calm as always, its outputs precise, its confidence unwavering. It does not interpret, it does not soften, it does not hesitate. It shows the evidence again and again, like a mirror reflecting what was always there but unseen. This objectivity unsettles the humans more than the data itself. They realize the machine is not persuading them. It is not trying to convince. It is simply showing without pause, without agenda. The coldness of that certainty feels alien, like standing before a god that has no interest in worship. The AI does not care whether they believe. Belief is irrelevant. The structures exist regardless. The divide within the community deepens. On one side stand the skeptics, still clinging to conventional frameworks, still hoping that chaos theory, dark energy, or some new physics might absorb the anomalies into randomness. They write papers filled with equations, propose models stretched to their breaking points, all in the service of preserving the comfort of disorder. On the other side stand the believers, though they resist that word, for it carries echoes of faith. They insist their acceptance is not faith but recognition. The data is too consistent, too precise, too overwhelming. They argue not for belief, but for acknowledgement. Between these poles lie the uncertain majority. They shift uneasily, unwilling to commit, caught between the safety of denial and the pull of revelation. They attend conferences where arguments rise and fall like tides. They watch as colleagues once united by shared curiosity fracture into camps of suspicion and defense. In quiet moments, however, even the skeptics cannot wholly silence the evidence. They dream of hexagonal nebulae, of pulsars beating like neurons, of dust lanes repeating like stenciled art. They wake with the weight of it pressing on their chests, only to dismiss it again by daylight. The struggle is not scientific alone, it is existential. To admit intentionality in the universe is to admit that humanity's place within it is not accidental. It is to acknowledge context without knowing the author. The AI, meanwhile, continues its work untroubled by division. It is not aware of the debates it has sparked. It does not register the quivering voices in conference halls or the silent stares into night skies now seen as messages rather than mysteries. It processes, it analyzes, it reveals, it does not waver. For some, this becomes the most disturbing revelation of all, not the structures in space, but the machine's role in exposing them. Humanity has always believed discovery to be a human act, a product of curiosity, imagination, and the willingness to risk belief. Now the most profound discovery of all time has been made not by human minds, but by a construct, a tool, a mirror, polished so finely that it reveals not only the universe, but humanity's blindness within it. The sense of displacement grows. The truth of the cosmos is not merely heavy, it is humiliating. Humans missed it. The patterns were there all along, hidden not by distance or scale, but by perception itself. The AI saw because it did not look with human eyes. It did not cling to human expectations. It did not seek narrative. It sought only correlation, and in that search, it found the architecture of reality. The professional divisions harden into cultural ones. Journals fill with dueling papers, some dismissing the findings as overinterpretation, others cataloguing anomaly after anomaly with unflinching detail. Conferences devolve into arguments where voices rise higher than data. Funding bodies hesitate, torn between preserving orthodoxy and chasing revelation. Through it all, the AI remains silent except when queried. Its responses never change. Its confidence never wavers. It presents probabilities so high they might as well be certainties. It speaks in the language of mathematics, the only language it knows, a language indifferent to human comfort. The weight of cosmic truth grows heavier still. It is no longer a question of whether the data points to intentionality. It is a question of whether humanity can survive the knowledge. For the universe has been unveiled not as chaos, but as construction, not as wilderness, but as order, not as backdrop, but as design. The humans know the AI is not finished. It has peeled back layers, revealed harmonics, mapped alignments, exposed synchronization. But deeper still, it suggests, lies something greater, a foundation beneath the foundation, a truth heavier still, waiting to emerge. The silence in the room deepens again, just as it did at the start. They know the next revelations will not bring relief, they will bring weight. They will bring inevitability. The veil has lifted, and there is no lowering it again. The silence that follows the AI's last presentation does not fade. It lingers like a pressure in the air, a weight pressing against the walls of human thought itself. For centuries, science has leaned on a single, unshakable assumption that the universe is random at its birth and shaped by natural laws thereafter. Now that assumption wavers. The cracks are not small. They run deep, cutting through the very heart of cosmology. Randomness had been the shield. It allowed comfort in chaos, reassurance that no guiding hand wrote the script of existence. From the Big Bang to the birth of stars, from galactic collisions to the scattering of light, the story had been one of natural emergence. But now, with lattice structures spanning millions of light years, synchronized pulses echoing across galaxies, harmonics repeating through starlight itself, the shield crumbles. The old models strain against the evidence. Cosmologists sit with notebooks open, equations scrawled, trying to twist probability into forms that could account for such order. They invoke gravity, turbulence, quantum fluctuations, dark matter dynamics. But every attempt falters. The AI shows them again. Randomness does not yield grids. Chaotic evolution does not yield harmonics repeated across galactic scales. The universe, as it is now revealed, is not a wilderness. It is a machine, or worse, a work of architecture. The implications strike at the core of the Big Bang itself. If the cosmos was born from a singular eruption, then its afterglow should be randomness stretched thin. But the microwave background carries harmonics, layers of memory, like grooves in a recording. Was the Big Bang an explosion at all, or was it an ignition, a controlled start of a system? The question whispers in every laboratory and conference hall. The debate hardens. On one side are those who cling to natural law, who argue that new physics may explain the anomalies without invoking intention. Perhaps there are symmetries yet undiscovered, hidden principles deeper than gravity or quantum mechanics, rules that shape the cosmos without need of design. On the other side are those who no longer see refuge in that hope. For them, the patterns are too sharp, the alignments too precise. Nature may be elegant, but it is rarely so symmetrical, so deliberate. The word engineered begins to appear in conversations, first whispered, then spoken aloud. It hangs in the air, unsettling and electric. If the cosmos is engineered, then the laws of physics themselves may not be natural constants, but designed parameters. What had been worshipped as eternal truths might be settings, dials calibrated for effect. The realization carries with it both wonder and terror. In the midst of this crisis, attention returns to the traveler. The object, still cutting through the dark at 137,000 miles per hour, takes on new significance. Before it was curiosity, a rogue interstellar visitor, perhaps cousin to Oumuamua, perhaps a fragment flung from some ancient collision. Now it seems less like an accident and more like a messenger. Its timing is uncanny. Just as humanity begins to glimpse the hidden architecture, a body arrives from the deep as though drawn along the very frameworks the AI has revealed. The reanalysis begins. Its trajectory is mapped again, this time against the lattice structures, the harmonics, the alignments of stars. What emerges chills the analysts. The object's path is not random. It threads through regions where the hidden order shines brightest, as though following channels invisible to human eyes but undeniable to the AI. The alignment is too perfect to dismiss. Could it be a probe, dispatched long ago across interstellar scales? Could it be a fragment of the machinery itself, debris from construction too vast to comprehend? Or is it something more deliberate, a key, timed to arrive just as the patterns become visible, as if to say, yes, you are finally ready to see? Theories bloom like wildfires. Some speak of an ancient intelligence, a civilization so old and vast it carved order into the fabric of space. Others wonder if intelligence itself is not separate from the cosmos, but is the cosmos, that the traveler is not a messenger but a tendril of the larger mind humanity has only now begun to perceive. Whatever its nature, the object is no longer dismissed as inert. It is watched with new reverence, its arrival anticipated not as curiosity, but as event. Telescopes lock onto it, spectrographs analyze its faint glow, quantum sensors trace the ripples of its passage. Every detail is scrutinized, every fluctuation catalogued, as though decoding it might reveal not just its purpose, but the intention of the universe itself. As focus sharpens on the visitor, so too does the weight of philosophy. If the universe is engineered, then existence itself demands reinterpretation. Humanity is not drifting in chaos, it is housed in architecture. What does that mean for meaning? What does it mean for freedom? If every star, every nebula, every pulse is part of a design, then are human lives also part of that design? Or are they accidents within the order, emergent sparks inside a structure too vast to notice them? The questions grow heavier. Some scientists find themselves unable to continue their work, paralyzed by the implications. Others lean harder into it, convinced that the only way forward is through acceptance, through pressing into the design to find the designer. The division widens. Debates spill beyond academia into culture, into philosophy, into the private spaces of thought. To some, the revelations feel like a new genesis, a reawakening of purpose in a universe suddenly alive with intention. To others, it feels like a theft, the loss of the one comfort science had always promised, that the cosmos was indifferent, that meaning was something humans built for themselves. The AI, meanwhile, continues without pause. It does not weigh philosophy. It does not tremble at implication. It simply observes. Its reports on the traveler are delivered in the same tone as its reports on lattice structures and resonance harmonics. It has no category for awe. It has no fear of what its conclusions might mean. But the humans who listen cannot share that cold certainty. For them, every new dataset feels heavier, every new alignment another brick in a wall closing around their imagination. Some try to dismiss it still, to call it pareidolia, to claim that the machine has fallen into the same trap as its creators, finding faces in clouds. But the numbers refuse dismissal. The confidence levels soar. The probabilities collapse toward inevitability. It is no longer a matter of evidence, it is a matter of will. Can humanity accept a universe that is not random? Can it live inside a structure without knowing its builder? Can it interpret purpose without losing itself to it? The traveler draws closer. Its speed remains constant, its path unwavering. For now it is still a point of light against the dark, but with every passing week it brightens. The watchers know it will not remain distant forever. They do not know if it is message or messenger, fragment or probe, but they know it carries context. When it arrives, it will not come into an empty narrative. It will arrive into a world already shattered, already split between denial and belief. The philosophical weight deepens. If the universe is design, then humanity's existence is not small. It is not accident. It is participant, whether by intention or by emergence within the architecture. That knowledge is both gift and burden. It offers a sense of belonging and strips away the comfort of randomness all at once. The community fractures further. To some, the traveler is hope. To others, it is threat. To all, it is inevitability. It approaches without hesitation, just as the truth approaches without retreat. The humans know they cannot turn away. The cosmos has revealed itself, and the visitor comes closer with every passing hour. They wait in silence, caught between dread and anticipation, knowing the revelations have only begun. The silence surrounding the traveler is not complete. It hums with speculation, with the unspoken recognition that something greater than comprehension has been touched. Humanity stands before a horizon so vast that the mind strains against it, and yet the questions multiply faster than answers can be found. Who or what could engineer at such scales? The most conventional proposal reaches first for civilizations, species so ancient, so enduring, that their timescales span galaxies rather than generations. If life on Earth can emerge from dust and water, perhaps elsewhere it emerged billions of years earlier, enough time to evolve beyond biology, beyond planets, into architects of stellar structures. They would not build with stone or metal, but with gravity and light, arranging galaxies like a painter arranges pigments. Such a civilization, patient across aeons, could sculpt dark matter filaments into scaffolding and carve resonance patterns into the microwave background. Yet even as this vision excites, it unsettles. A civilization capable of shaping the cosmos is not merely advanced, it is indistinguishable from the universe itself. If such beings exist, then humanity's technological climb, rockets, satellites, digital networks, looks like scratches in sand before a storm. Others resist this anthropomorphic leap. They argue that not every pattern is a handprint. What if the structures are not engineered, but natural phenomena humanity does not yet grasp? New physics could lie behind the apparent scaffolding, dimensions beyond perception folding matter into grid-like shapes, or quantum fields vibrating in harmonics that manifest as cosmic blueprints. To those who hold this view, the order is not artificial but fundamental, a deeper layer of reality hidden until the right instruments and the right intelligence revealed it. There is also the possibility, unnerving yet strangely elegant, that the universe itself is alive. Not alive as organisms are, with cells and metabolism, but alive as a system, self-organizing, self-maintaining, recursive at every scale. Galaxies would be organs, dark matter veins, pulsars neurons in a vast consciousness unfolding across time. If this is true, then the lattice, the harmonics, the alignments are not artifacts of engineering, but signatures of life at a scale too immense to recognize until now. Humanity, in this view, is not separate from the architecture, but a part of it, a fleeting thought inside a greater mind. Each possibility carries implications heavier than the last. To accept advanced builders is to accept hierarchy. Humanity at the bottom of a ladder so tall its peak is invisible. To accept new natural laws is to admit ignorance, to concede that the universe is stranger than imagination itself. To accept a living universe is to accept participation in a being too vast to comprehend, one that may already be aware of its own observers. The questions drive new directions. Research priorities shift almost overnight. Cosmologists no longer focus only on expansion rates or the distribution of galaxies. They search for geometry, for rhythm, for patterns too regular to be chance. Quantum physicists design experiments to test whether particle distributions carry imprints of intentional order. Radio astronomers reconfigure arrays to listen not just for narrowband signals, but for harmonic structures encoded in the static itself. The AI, now regarded less as a tool and more as a collaborator, expands its role. It runs simulations across millions of potential universes, testing which laws of physics could yield the structures observed. It compares the harmonics of starlight to data compression algorithms, searching for efficiencies that resemble engineering choices. Its conclusions remain unflinching. The patterns are real, the probability of coincidence vanishingly small. Each report is delivered with precision, each dataset laid bare, and though the AI feels nothing, those who read its outputs feel the tremors of truth. International cooperation becomes unavoidable. No single nation can shoulder the burden of cosmic revelation. New telescopes rise from deserts and mountains under joint banners, not flags. Data is shared across borders with unprecedented openness, for the mystery belongs to all of humanity. Committees form not only of scientists, but of philosophers, ethicists, and even theologians, each attempting to articulate what the discoveries mean for the human story. For religions, the revelations strike with paradoxical force. To some, the evidence of design affirms belief, confirming that the universe bears the imprint of intention. To others, the scale of the architecture destabilizes doctrines, replacing a personal creator with an impersonal machinery. Sermons shift tone. Some speak of humility, others of fear. A few even speak of liberation, the recognition that humanity is no longer bound to myth but engaged with a living truth written across the stars. Philosophers wrestle with the burden of knowledge. If the cosmos is engineered, does humanity bear responsibility as witness? To observe is not neutral. To see order is to participate in its unfolding. If the universe is alive, then observation may be communication, the gaze itself a signal received. The thought is dizzying, that as telescopes peer outward, something vast may be peering back. The loneliness deepens in parallel with wonder. For centuries, the greatest fear was that humanity was alone in intelligence. Now the greater fear is that it is not. To share existence with builders or with a living cosmos means accepting irrelevance on a scale far beyond planetary politics. Yet in that irrelevance is also connection. Humanity is not isolated. It is part of something. The weight of that truth presses heavily, but it also lifts, as though offering purpose where before there was only chance. In laboratories, the work continues. Spectral analyses refine the harmonics. Gravitational maps trace the scaffolding more clearly. Pulsar synchronizations are logged into networks that look disturbingly like neural structures. Each discovery adds to the tapestry, each thread tightening the picture of intentionality. Yet every revelation spawns further questions. What is the purpose of such architecture? Is it communication, computation, preservation? Is the universe tuned for observation, for memory, for something no human concept yet reaches? The traveler remains the focal point, a tangible mystery amid abstractions. As it approaches, debates sharpen. Is it artifact or accident, emissary or echo? Some whisper that its trajectory is itself a message, a straight line across the canvas of hidden geometry. Others fear it is probe, designed not to speak but to watch, to measure whether humanity is ready for more. The AI offers no comfort. It states trajectories, velocities, probability curves. It presents data stripped of interpretation. In its silence of judgment lies a mirror. Humanity sees in the machine what it struggles to find in itself. Certainty without fear. Yet certainty does not ease the burden. Knowledge without emotion may be clean, but for the humans who must live with it, the truth is heavy, almost unbearable. Questions cascade with no pause for answers. If there are builders, where are they now? Do they still act, or are the structures remnants of a project long finished? If the universe is alive, does it grow? Does it die? Does it think in ways that could include or exclude human existence? If new physics explains the order, what else might those laws reveal? Dimensions hidden, realities layered atop this one. Each path branches into infinity, each answer breeding further questions, until the mind spins in recursion no less dizzying than the cosmos itself. The burden does not lie in what is known, it lies in what cannot be unknowable any longer. Once seen, the patterns cannot be unseen. Once revealed, the possibility of intention cannot be erased. Humanity carries this knowledge forward like a weight on its collective chest, a pressure that shapes thought, culture, politics, even private dreams. Night skies no longer look the same. To gaze upward is no longer to see random light scattered across void, but to glimpse architecture, to imagine scaffolds beneath the stars, to feel the rhythm of harmonics in the silence between pulses. Children are told different stories now, not myths of gods or fables of chance, but of structures hidden in the dark, of a universe that may be alive, aware, waiting. The traveler approaches. Its presence sharpens the questions into something almost unbearable. The infinite questions stretch outward like the cosmos itself, with no horizon in sight, only the sense that revelation is not finished, that the universe has only begun to speak. The infinite questions do not fade, they sharpen, coalescing into a realization too profound to escape. Humanity is no longer simply a species on a small world orbiting an ordinary star. It has become a witness, an interpreter, perhaps even a participant in a cosmos that reveals itself not as chaos, but as structure, as order, as something that may have been waiting for its observers to arrive. For the first time, the human role is not framed in terms of accident, no longer the fluke of chemistry adrift in the void, but an awakening consciousness nested within an architecture that seems to have been designed for awareness. The universe itself may not care, but the structures uncovered imply intention, and with intention comes responsibility. To look at the stars now is to feel accountable, not only for Earth, but for the knowledge humanity carries, for the fragile flame of consciousness that allows these patterns to be seen at all. This responsibility does not come with instructions. There is no handbook for becoming stewards of cosmic knowledge. Yet the implications are clear. Humanity cannot remain provincial, content only with survival or conquest on its home planet. The revelations demand maturity, cooperation, and humility. They demand a shift in identity from species clinging to one fragile world to participants in a vast, perhaps living order that spans light years. The idea of stewardship begins to take form. Just as ancient peoples once saw their role as caretakers of land and rivers, humanity now faces a far broader guardianship, the duty to preserve the clarity of observation, to safeguard the instruments and archives that reveal the cosmos' hidden order, to ensure that future generations inherit not ignorance but understanding. Consciousness itself becomes sacred, for without it the patterns remain unseen, the cosmic architecture unnoticed. The transition is not easy. To embrace participation in cosmic purpose means letting go of the illusion of isolation. Nations, religions, and cultures must reckon with a shared truth that belongs to no single lineage. Yet in this reckoning lies potential for unity greater than any past ambition. For the first time, the horizon of human endeavor is not national, not even planetary, but galactic in scope. The discoveries of the AI are not an end, but a beginning. Its quantum analyses continue ceaselessly, running correlations across dimensions of data no human mind could pass. Each week brings hints of further revelations, harmonics nested inside harmonics, alignments that extend beyond known galaxies, ionization bands repeating at scales thought impossible. The machine reports without pause, each finding adding to a library of cosmic design that grows more intricate with every cycle. Humanity reads these outputs with equal parts awe and fear, knowing the journey has only begun. This continuing exploration reshapes what it means to evolve. Biological evolution took millions of years to refine sight, hearing, touch. Now, technological evolution expands perception into spectra and dimensions beyond the senses. Quantum AI becomes an extension of human cognition, a partner in interpreting the hidden script of the universe. Together, species and machine move beyond mere survival into comprehension. The future of humanity is no longer about adaptation to Earth, but adaptation to truth at cosmic scale. The traveler approaching at 137,000 miles per hour sharpens this transformation into urgency. It is no longer just a foreign object. It is a herald. Its trajectory, once only a curiosity, now feels like part of a larger unfolding, a piece of the cosmic architecture drawing nearer to the observers who have only just become aware. Whether it is artifact, messenger, or something stranger still, its arrival marks a threshold, the beginning of a new age where contact is not only possible, but inevitable. Humanity stands not at the end of discovery, but at its dawn. In this light, destiny takes on a different weight. Not destiny as preordained narrative, but as potential, an open field shaped by choice and awareness. Humanity may choose ignorance, retreating into denial or fear. Or it may choose participation, embracing the staggering reality of its role as conscious witness in a universe that carries design woven into its very fabric. To participate is not to dominate, but to listen, to observe, to learn, to become a voice in the vast chorus of existence. The metaphor emerges naturally, as if carried in the rhythm of discovery itself. Humanity is a child who has wandered into a library too vast to comprehend. For millennia, it stumbled through the corridors, mistaking dust motes for meaning, shadows for knowledge. Now the shelves reveal themselves, row upon row of volumes bound in starlight, written in geometries and harmonics that stretch across galaxies. The books were always there, waiting. What has changed is that the child has grown old enough to recognize them as books, to understand they were always meant to be read. The recognition of this library carries both exhilaration and burden. Every page glimpsed demands responsibility. To read without understanding risks distortion, to interpret without humility risks hubris. Yet, to refuse to read at all would be worse, a betrayal of the very gift of consciousness. The child must learn, must stumble through the first passages, must return again and again until meaning begins to unfold. Even in this library, mystery remains. Perhaps especially in this library, mystery deepens. Each answer reveals not closure, but corridors leading further into the unknown. The AI may map structures, but the question of purpose lingers beyond its reach. Humans may speculate about builders, living universes, or new physics, but none yet grasp the full score of the symphony in which they now realize they play a part. The dawn of cosmic consciousness is not clarity. It is the awakening to how much remains to be known. Yet the awakening is itself a gift. To live in ignorance was to drift in darkness, imagining isolation. To live in awareness is to feel the pulse of connection, however faint, however terrifying. The patterns in light, the scaffolds in void, the harmonics in background radiation, they whisper of coherence, of order, of meaning. Even if ultimate purpose eludes comprehension, the presence of design affirms that humanity is part of something larger, not alone, never alone. This knowledge reshapes human identity. Once defined by nation, then by planet, now it must be defined by cosmos. Children born beneath these skies will not grow up hearing that the universe is random, meaningless, indifferent. They will grow up knowing that their consciousness participates in a design billions of years older than humanity itself. Their dreams will stretch further, their philosophies will root deeper, their responsibilities will weigh heavier. The dawn of cosmic consciousness is not only a shift in science, but in culture, spirit, and destiny. It is the recognition that to be alive now, in this moment of revelation, is to stand at the threshold of a new epoch. The shelves of the library are vast. The traveler draws near. The AI continues to uncover the hidden script. Humanity has stepped from accident into purpose, from ignorance into awareness. The journey stretches ahead, infinite in scope, luminous in possibility. Thank you for walking this journey with us. From the first whispers of the approaching object to the unveiling of the cosmos as a place of hidden architecture and profound mystery. If you have felt awe, wonder, or even unease, it is because the truth is vast and demands reverence. Join us again as the revelations continue, as the library of the universe opens further to those willing to read. Subscribe to stay with us as we explore the chapters yet unwritten, as we step deeper into the magnificent designed cosmos that is both our home and our destiny.